What is up?
What's going on, man? What's up, Facebook, YouTube, everybody else? Let's see how long I last this week.
No, I'm telling you, you gotta throw them children off the.
What we call them?
Wi-Fi.
The crotch goblins.
Crotch goblins,
that are
yeah.
trolling my internet. Dude, this is horrible. This day and age, the amount of money you pay for the internet, and I got nothing. So I apologize last week. You guys got stuck with Gary. I think you did okay. I tried to watch the show, but you didn't put it up?
Yeah, I put it. I have no idea what the hell happened to it.
Oh, okay.
It's automatic. I don't have no control over it. It's automatic. Once it's done, it posts. I don't know what the hell happened to it.
Yeah, dude, I was looking forward to
it was on
chatting
YouTube.
with him.
It was on the YouTube, but not the Facebook. I don't know what the hell's up with it. But yeah, he was stressed for time though.
Okay,
so he was only on for a little bit. He told us that before we even got started. That.
Yeah.
He was pressed for time.
Yeah, I thought maybe it was an issue with him, and it really wasn't. It was my stupid piece of crap. So, but it is what it is. No, all right. So, well, I think that is that me feedback?
No, I don't hear nothing.
Oh, here we go.
You're good. You're all right.
Yeah. So let me see if I got maybe the volume on my computer needs to go down. Go ahead, say something.
Can you hear me?
Yep. Nope. I need to have that up so I can hear you. Oh, my Lanta. This is going to be one of those. Okay. So, all right. So we have the ORCS. That is the Open Racing Challenge Series. He is the mastermind behind it. I had the pleasure of running one of his races last year. And I believe he has been on this show more than anybody else. Let's bring him on because this guy's he's family now. So let's bring him on. He's over there waiting. We were just talking with him before. Dude, he fits right in. I think that we should change this Northeast Happy Hour with Predmore Mearns and Nate.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Nate Stevens.
Your kids were sending me requests for child support. I don't know.
That's fine. Listen, I don't give a shit. Pay it.
With that beard, they can't tell the difference.
They can. Daddy? This is how they figure it out. They go in the bathroom, and if there's shampoo in there, Nate's home.
So got to keep it shiny.
I'm just saying, man. So, what's up, brother? How's your New Year? How's Christmas? Everything? How you been? You been all right?
Hey, it's living the dream. Learning all about every side of racing. I've been doing this stuff since the day I was born.
Yeah.
And I've promoted races before, but trying to do this series, I'm just learning stuff every single day.
Dude, you are everywhere. It doesn't matter where you go, social media. You're everywhere. You're doing the job. I mean, I could tell you, it was April 22nd, Penn Speedway, right? That's the first one.
That's the opener. Yep.
Yeah.
We got to make that real big. Because I got a lot of people. This is all new. This is craziness. Like what we're doing. Nobody really knows. I don't know what's going to show up. I don't know what it is. And so we got to do real good on Penn Can. That's going to be a big deal because, some of the other tracks are, it's going to be easier to do big ththings if we do big here. But, and I think we are. Just before I got on this conversation, I had a guy that, I used to work with a little bit as, sponsor him a little bit. And he's like, hey, I dug out this car from like behind my shop that was a track champion like 12 years ago. Oh, and it doesn't fit into any class. And he's like, it's going to be in the York series.
That's
the cool thing, and once people are starting to figure out the potential here, like what you can do, like you can do whatever you want, basically.
So this is how stupid I am. I just realized that, orc. The orcs. And then I saw the hammer and I was like, all right, I don't get that, but okay. But orcs carry hammer.
We'll tie it in more.
You see the light bulb?
Hey,
man,
I'm glad you got that because that's kind of like I've been building up to that. That's the unruly.
I'm a closet nerd.
There you go. The unruly race is the orcs. It's and they're the engineers of the monsters, and that's what the little character is. He's an orc. So it's
right.
yeah. You got to be a nerd. To
Shut up, Garrett. You didn't get that shit.
No, I did not.
Dude, it just clicked all of a sudden. It just clicked.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's well, and I'm just trying to keep this memorable and stuff. And that's why I'm doing all the nicknames and characters and stuff. And like, I'm working on some interesting trophies for the races. That now that you got what an orc is, the trophies are going to make a lot more sense because otherwise they'd be just think that I'm complete nutbag.
So I see a lot of talk with, I mean, everybody knows who you are. Everybody knows what this series is about. I see a lot of talk about like purse for points funds and all that other stuff. So here's my thing. We're not going to make every single race like I had hoped. The biggest issue that we're having is parts. Tony had to drive 3 hours to Albany, Saratoga to get a freaking quarter panel, and then we paid almost double than what we would normally pay. So I don't foresee us being able to make every single show. But explain to us, I know that that you're having a point series. Is there a point fund, or what? Explain to us, like how is that starting to come about? Because I want to say by the end of the year, you guys are there's gonna be something.
Well, basically what it is now, I had a whole business plan coming into this deal and an ideal situation. And I'm learning a lot about compromise. But essentially, because I believe in this idea so much, I'm not a rich guy, but I'm going to go borrow the money, essentially. And with the idea that I'm going to make it back one way or another. I'm one of the things, well, I was going to get into it a little bit later, but I'm actually looking to take on some more partners. I had some ideas. This was kind of in the original plan to take on a partner, and I got distracted by a few things. So if anybody knows anybody out there that, loves this idea and I'm looking for both financial and like mentor partners, somebody that's been around this thing. Because like I said, I've been in the racing world for 40 years. And
somebody go get Glenn Donnelly out of his home.
Glenn unfortunately, I had some big plans with Ron Hills. He was going to introduce me to a lot of people, and that was very painful there because just the entire situation. But literally, my last conversation was a big list of people. He's like, "I'm going to introduce you to Howie Commander, and I'm going to introduce you to all these people." And I'm like, yeah, this is awesome. We were going to have breakfast, every week, and every week he was going to introduce me to somebody new. And unfortunately, I don't know how many people are following that, but Ron passed away a little while ago. Yeah. And and that's kind of put a damper on the mood a little bit with everything. It's speaking of that, I just talked to the guys with the video. We're working on getting the video of the Unruly race. So that's, that was something that he shot, and he worked on it, but unfortunately right now it's locked up in his cloud drive, and we're working on getting everything through the courts so that we can get access to that and stuff. But yeah, it's that kind of put a damper on a lot of things.
One of the last conversations that I had with Ron was just before he went into the hospital the last time. I said to him, I said, "Listen, man, you got to get better, because I still haven't had a copy yet of the Unruly race and the last 3 races of Bethel." And he goes, no, I'm going to be fine. I think I just need a tune-up. And that was the last time I had chatted with him. And just it was one of those, man, you knew it was coming. It really kind of did. And it sucks. What a great guy. I wish I had known him longer. What was he at Bethel? Maybe 2 years, maybe 2.
It's
absolutely so full of knowledge. Love the sport that we're in, and the conversations that we had, and as far as like just one division, and it just sucks. It really sucks. I don't know.
I hate to start it on a bad note, but it's just one of those things that I've been said as I'm learning.
Racing is a family, right? Yeah. And when we lose one of our members, man, it sucks. It stings a little bit. Whether you knew Ron, listen, you knew Ron probably 1,000 times better than what I knew him. But the little bit of time that I got to spend with him, absolutely great guy, really awesome guy. Just. Yeah. It got to where I go to hand him money for the video from the week prior, and he said, "No, I love what you do, and I love how you promote the sport, and no, put your money in your pocket." And I'm like, "Well, Ron, here, just go buy dinner or something." And he just wouldn't do it. That's how he was, and just, man, it just sucks. It just sucks. Yeah.
It's actually Well, I'll talk about that. It's something just occurred to me.
Yeah.
It's I need to talk to people, but I was looking. We'll get into the schedule later, but there's occurred to me that there's going to be 2 races at Bethel this year, and the first race I'm trying to go in with the Orcs thing we were just talking about. All the races are going to have kind of nicknames and stuff like that, and I think I just decided I hadn't come up with a name for the second race at Bethel. I think that's going to be the Ron Hills Memorial Race.
Yeah.
So it's literally just decided that. I think that's fitting. So all the people that knew him and remembered him, I'll obviously have to talk to everybody at the track just to make sure. But I think that'll be very fitting there. So
and the amount of interest that's going on right now at Bethel, Skip LaPolt, and I'm putting Skip. I have DOT tires that'll fit your car, man. Just hit me up. I think that's going to be the equalizer. It's just that I can't wait. I'm looking forward to that. And like I said, I'm hoping and praying we can make the 22nd and get back to Penn. And it's just
that race is going to be on a Saturday, regular Bethel race night.
The Bethel races are both on Saturdays. Yeah. That's one of the things that, I know that's not ideal, but with something new here, I'm, what I've told all the tracks, and this is the truth all the way around, is I'm mostly interested in doing what's best. I got to do what's best for the track, and I'm the track first because they're taking the biggest risk, then I got to do what's best for the drivers, a lot of things. And so it's not going to be the ideal dream situation, but I think it's still going to work out. I think everybody, we'll piece this together one way or another. And I think there is enough excitement out there, especially Bethel and other tracks that, I got to get good fields, but we'll do it. And I think, I don't know if it's true, but the name's skipping my mind, but the one guy in the Bethel conversation that's talking about bringing his modified, and I'm like, yep.
That would be Skip.
That's Skip. Okay.
Yeah.
It's get modifieds out there, late models, dirt modifieds. There's definitely a bunch of people talking about that. I think last year people weren't sure about getting the wheels, but the wheels are out there if you need them. I know. Well, the one I know definitely has them is Lee Sherwood at Sherwood Racing Wheels right down the road from me. He actually makes them for the wide 5 wheel. And there's a couple other companies that make them, but they are definitely out there.
Yeah.
So
for the 4-cylinder guys, right? Because your tire rule is a 235, 70, 15, correct?
It's just 235 max.
Okay.
Well, except at Bethel, because Bethel, you can run up to the 255 with the 200-pound weight penalty, just because I know some of the guys are going to be running that because it's allowed there.
Yeah.
But up to the 235, you still have the normal weight rule, which is 3,000 pounds, unless you have the safety equipment, which you get the weight breaks for the safety equipment, because I'm trying to encourage that. And that also allows a lot of the 4-cylinders are light. Also, I am.
So that was my question. Yeah. How is that going to work as far as tires for those guys?
They can have anything up to, they could run the 255s if they want to, but they'll have to weigh the 3,200 pounds, which is a lot of weight for a lot of those guys. And so they probably don't want to do that. If they run like a 225 or something, that's perfectly legal, as long as it's no bigger than a 235,
right.
If they run a 205, a 225, which I know, I don't know what they run there.
I think a lot of them guys run a 13 or 14 inch rim.
Yeah, that's fine. There's no rim rule. There's no profile rule. It's just the width. The width of the tire, which that's what the first number is that's the section width of the tire. And it's millimeters from sidewall to sidewall. So
if you run the 255, 60, 15, which is what, is what they're allowing up to, you have to be 3,200 pounds.
It's a 200-pound weight penalty. So if you can run 3,000 pounds if you've got the containment seat, the fire suppression system, and the Hans device. If you don't have that stuff, the base weight's 3,000 pounds, and then you'd have to have an additional 200. So it's a 200-pound penalty, and only at the tracks that run that, which right now is just Bethel.
Okay.
I'm a betting man, and I'm willing to bet a 4-cylinder would win that race at Bethel.
I agree. This is why I'm asking, because those guys.
I 100% agree a 4-cylinder will win that race.
Yeah.
It's well, and I don't know. I don't know how much they normally weigh because that's usually the equalizer.
Well, that's the thing.
Yeah,
I don't know if
yeah.
they're. I want to say they're like 2,300 pounds.
Yeah. So
so
that's a lot of weight. Then they're adding.
So then you're adding 500 pounds more or 700 pounds more to the car. So if you run now without the weight breaks and all that stuff. So I guess what I was getting at was the 235 70 15. Right, you can weigh 3,000 pounds. Is okay.
Yep. That's 3,000.
So if you run the other tire, but you have full containment seat.
Yep.
What was the other one?
It's 100 pounds weight break for the Hans device.
Okay.
Or head and neck restraint.
Yeah.
It's 50 pounds for full containment seat and 50 pounds for fire suppression. So those are all weight breaks. So if you have everything and you've got a 235 tire, you'd be 2,800 would be your minimum weight.
Okay.
If you're running the wide tire, you'd be kicked right back up to the 3,000.
Okay.
So that makes sense. I know it's a little bit confusing, but I'm trying to.
No. That makes the way it was written was a little confused. I was like, wait, what? Okay. So if for each item that you have, I mean, it's a weight break. Yeah. So I need to go put a fire suppression system in my car, and then I can run the 255.
That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money for 50 pounds.
But fire suppression system's $500.
Yeah, well, I'm saying that's a lot of money. I mean,
do you have to prove that it works?
Yeah,
it has to. They have a pressure gauge on them,
but I think even for us though, the street stocks. I mean, for Bethel, you have to be 3,100. Yeah, so I mean, even with that, if you run the 255 60 with full containment seat and a Hans device, you're fine.
Yeah. And one of the big things is the reason I'm doing this is in the future at some point as we get regulars. It's probably going to become mandatory for those safety devices. It's just so as it progresses along, I'm just giving you an opportunity for people to acquire that.
I'm thinking now more than ever, it really needs to start to become mandatory for a lot of the tracks. A few years ago, I took a really bad shot at Orange County, and the wife was like, "Listen, you ain't racing no more till you get a full containment seat." Yeah. I didn't like it, but now without it, I feel naked. You know what I mean? Yeah, I have to have that.
Containment seat and a Hans is like
the Hans. Yeah. So I've tried Next Gen. I've tried the other one.
Yeah, anyone.
Yeah. And again, I've had a couple of scenarios, with the Next Gen where people came running over. Hey man, you okay? And I'm like, yeah, dude, it wasn't that bad. They're like, no. And I saw the video, the things up in the air. I was like, oh shit, it's not a bad thing to have. It really isn't,
No.
And going beyond
put a price on safety anyway.
Yeah. Listen, if you can't afford to be safe, you don't need to be in that thing. Yeah.
I mean, there's guys that still race without gloves, neck braces.
Listen, but that's when we started, though, Gary. I mean, think about it, right?
I get it, but
it was helmet, and I started at Bethel at 17 years old. It was helmet. You had to have a neck brace, and that was it. And if you had a fire suit, great. If you didn't, it was long sleeve shirt, long sleeve, and long pants.
Yeah. No, I get it. Some guys still race with work boots. I mean, Ray Tarantino.
Yeah.
I see Ray all the time. He still races in work boots.
Yeah.
I mean, my biggest thing, my goal with this entire series is to allow the competitors to evolve the sport. Yeah. So that's the long-term thing is, we have so much, and this is one of the things I've learned. I went out to PRI and talked to all the companies and stuff, and there's a lot of rules that exist out there. Some of the tracks don't even know why these rules exist because somebody's getting kickbacks from those guys. So it's not the competitors. It's not what's best for them. Mm-hmm. It's, where they can make the money, which, I mean, that's how we do this, these tracks.
Did you set up a booth down at PRI, or did you just walk around and tell everybody what your idea was?
I just walked around and told everybody.
And what was the consensus on that? What were let's give us a big name that you talked to down there. And I'm just curious, what was their thought on that?
Well, I mean, I didn't talk to too many of the competitors. It's like a trade show. So it's more like the companies and stuff. But, I mean, the one, most of the companies were interested. There was a couple that completely blew me off. A lot of the traditionalists There's one speed shop that's fairly local that's a big speed shop, and they didn't even want to hear me. Like they just literally like walked away when I started talking to them, just because they don't get it, you know. And a lot of it's because they make their living selling certain stuff. Now, when I went and talked to the turbocharger companies, they loved it. They're like, yeah, they're like, we did tests with NASCAR. Like nobody even knew this. Like NASCAR was trying to put together a turbocharger series, and they're like, it never got off the ground. You know, they're really excited about that stuff. They're not going to put any money into it until we've got people buying their product, though. That's one of the problems. And that's exactly what I found out. It's the same thing. The traction control guys, I know a lot of people have mixed feelings about that, but they were really excited about, you know, something where they can kind of demonstrate what they can do. And, you know, and the story here, and that's a lot, again, it goes back to the origin of this is, you know, we know people are running it, but like there isn't a good way to enforce that rule because the people that can afford to have it hidden. Yep. So essentially, and when I talked to the traction control guys, they said, we sell devices that do exactly the same thing for I think $1,000 all the way up to like $10,000. And the only difference is how well they're hidden in the air. So if you want to spend, you know, you can get a system that does everything exactly the same. It mounts on your dash. It says, you know, Davis Technology on it. And that does exactly the same thing as the guy that has something that's Bluetooth that's in their pocket that nobody can find. You know, and they're like, you know, we just as soon sell this thing, but we don't want to work with a bunch of dishonest people. Like they're big in the drag racing where it's legal, you know, and they're really into it. You know, I talked to people with different, you know, I said the traditionalists weren't so interested. I talked to some fuel and Holly was interested. But the problem with Holly is they have a rule about, again, sponsoring stuff. That's mostly what I was looking at. They love the idea because Holly sells turbochargers. They sell fuel injection. They sell carburetors. They will only sponsor series that require one of their part numbers. Okay. So like you would have to say like, you'll have to run a 4412 carburetor. Then they'd sponsor it. They even said like, I could use Simpson and be like, I could say everybody needs to have, you know, Simpson window nets on it.
That totally defeats the purpose of what it is that you're trying to do.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I'm telling you, I think that this is the way to go. I really do.
Well, here's my thing, Joel, and it's a great. Like me and Nate had conversations privately.
Yeah.
Now you as a racer, now he's going to do it on Fridays, Saturdays, you know. Now what would attract more drivers to want to pick this series over home tracks? You know what I mean? Me and Nate had conversations about it. You know, you as a driver, what would want you to say, all right, let me follow this series around? Or if you have a couple races at your home track, you're doing shitty, you know, what would make you want to pick up and carry on or continue to stay, say, at Bethel every Saturday?
So here's what did it for me. Here's a great example of what did it for me. Okay, I'm at my home track. I'm racing with the same guys week in and week out for the past couple of years. I'm sitting third in points. I know that I'm not going to get any better than where I am, and I just need a break. So because this series is not at the same track every single week, so the guy who dominates there is not going to dominate this series. I believe that. I believe that it's gonna. You have to learn to adapt to different tracks. I mean, and now you're going from, you know, Thunder Mountain, which was, you know, kind of a high banked, short little. I mean, that place was just, you know, hang your balls out and hope you don't fall off the side of the earth, you know. And then you go to Bethel, and Bethel is more finesse. Do I think that Deinhardt's going to come to Bethel and do well? He might. Right, but do I think that he's going to get mugged by some of the regulars? Right. I do.
But the question is, will Deinhardt come to Bethel? Because you're talking Saturday night Thunder Mountain. How do you get these guys to travel? You know what I'm saying?
So I think
that's my thing.
I think right now, I mean, let's right now it's going to be money talks. Let's all put that out there. It's going to be money talks. And Nate, you know that. You've been around this sport long enough to know that. I believe you have a race July 30th, right?
Yep, July 30th.
Okay, so we have already discussed that depending on where we are this year, as far as, you know, like listen, I don't like to race for points, but obviously it's always there. And if you're close enough, you're going to stay where you're at if that's what you're going for. And my thing is if we're tight with a points battle, I'm not going to go. I'm not going to go July 30th. Now, if your series is paying, say, I'm just saying, you're paying $10,000 to win this series, and all you're going to get probably the first year 3 or 4 guys that are going to follow that series. Mm-hmm. So now I have, say 4 guys. I've got, a 75% or, even less than that, 25, what would you say? 75% chance of possibly winning if you just show up, because people aren't coming, every single week. What I like about it is it's a different venue every week. So you almost feel like that modified guy that's following the tour. This is just another tour. This is what I tried to do with the Street Stock series, and then it just petered out. It just turned into a bitch fest. It turned into complaining about rules, and then you got to buy 3 sets of tires, one for Bethel, one for Middletown, one for Aqua, and it's just nonsense. I went up to Thunder Mountain with what I had, and I knew I was good to go. Why? Because you can do whatever the hell you want. They don't give a shit. Other than the tire thing, which I still think is great. Yes, there's no rules, but there's rules. But I think that's the equalizer. If I could find a sprint car cheap enough and I could put these tires on that sprint car, I'm going to run a goddamn sprint car. Why? Because I think it's cool as shit. Yeah. You know what I mean? And that's kind of what I like. It's you're going back to the days of ingenuity. How am I going to make this shit work? Right now, everybody's looking at Deinhardt. Dude, what the hell did he have? And somebody's going to come back with something even better than what he had. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I like about it. This is because it's not one of those, before I do that, let me call Nate and make sure that's okay. It's going to be okay.
Yeah, it's all right.
And what do you have to bitch about? Nothing. Build a better mousetrap.
And one of the things, you get back to the dollars, and one of the big things I've focused on, and hopefully this is right, because I've been hearing this for as long as I've been involved in racing, is the start pay is the important thing. And every single one of my races is going to be at least $150 to start. And that's
that's probably more than what these Street Stock. I don't think they're paying $150
for somebody like me. For somebody like me, that's awesome. Yeah. I'm going to go because why? Because you just paid for my gas and my way to get in up there. And I'm going to go.
You have to qualify. So you have to get into the feature.
Right.
But which is going to be a little bit of a challenge. We're only going to start 18 cars because I don't want to have a field of people that knock out their windows on their car the day before and show up and want $150.
Yeah.
You're going to have to, and if you support the series, I'll make sure you start, one way or another. I'll make sure there's some sort of provisional for you and stuff. But yeah, I think to me as a racer, that's one of the things is, I believe for these type of cars, that's the best you're going to find for a start, even in special races, but let alone, and that's one of the things I'm really looking out there. There is, I want to support the guys that are going to travel a little bit. Mm-hmm. I want everybody to come out for the local race. And I know I don't really need to pay that much for that, but the guy that's willing to drive a couple hours for a race, I need to make sure that they're.
Listen, I was more than ecstatic to drive. First of all, I'd never been to Thunder Mountain, and when I left there, obviously, other than the 4-cylinder guy, I think we were. I wouldn't say the worst car, but we were not. We had no business being out there with some of them other guys. You know what I mean?
Because that guy had a boatload of fun.
Absolutely,
he did. He really did.
And here's it. And I left there. Never been to that track before. I had an absolute blast. I raced with guys who respected each other. Were there a couple of incidents? There were, but it was just shit happened. You know what I mean? It wasn't like somebody drove over. It was none of that. It just happened. And I want to say I left there with like $500-600 in my pocket. Not saying that that's going to happen to you every single time you go racing in this series, but just the simple fact that you're standing at the gate as a promoter. And who the hell am I? But hey, man, thanks for coming. I appreciate you being here. And you did that all night to everybody. And that's it. Somebody like me who's been in the lower division my entire racing career, that means a lot. It really does. Mm-hmm. And I can't say it enough. I've been saying it for 2 years that, dude, this is the way to go. And I'm hoping that eventually I get, I get to where that's what I'm doing. That's all I'm doing. Listen, I run with the Orcs, man.
So Nate, on the schedule that you got set right now, what is the farthest racetrack away?
For you guys right now, it's probably not. There's going to be one I think that ends up farther, but we're finalizing details, and we're right on the edge of finalizing that one. It's not going to be much farther, but probably Skyline, which is 15-20 minutes up the road from Thunder Mountain. So
that's not too
bad. That one.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for Gary, you know what I mean, with an open trailer, to me, that was the way to go. So we just kind of hammered down. It was a straight run, and it really wasn't that bad.
Well, there's one that might be. I just remembered. There's another one we're finalizing right now. I'm fairly confident it's going to be a Sunday race.
Yeah.
And that one's south, so it's going to be probably about the same distance. It's kind of like Central PA. Okay. And that one should be real fun. That's going to be a different deal and a lot of competition there. Again, completely different cars. Probably the guys that run in that race aren't going to be guys that you're going to see at other races.
Now, have you been in contact with like anybody from like Big Diamond and stuff, because they're street stocks class, and there's some radical shit down there. You know what I mean? Like, have you been?
Last year I haven't really talked to too many of the tracks. Like I tried to, that's been one of the hardest things for me is like I had, set in mind where I wanted to have races. And as I've negotiated and narrowed them down, and people one way or another, very few have said no, but some of them have just ghosted me, that. And so I assume that's a no, not necessarily, because there's one track that I think I'm going to schedule a race at, and apparently I'm the only person in the world he actually returns his phone calls to. So I'm kind of honored on that. But I think that one's going to be a done deal. And some of these guys are just, it's weird. Some people, I can send them a message on Facebook and they're like, yep, that's awesome. Some of them I have to call 20 times and message and send smoke signals. And there's 2 or 3 tracks that just haven't even answered at all. And I'm like, and I don't know if it's me or if that's just how they are.
It's just, that's frustrating, because you got to take it in the Northeast, everybody thinks the Northeast, it's modified country. You know what I mean? Yeah. But that's just the thing, dude. You could run that. You could run a modified. Just put the DOT tires on it, So just real quick, Ray's popping in with a question. Go ahead and ask your question there, Ray, and I'll read it. So, but he had a question about the tires. This would be a guy for your series. So he has a question about the tire size. Has no problem running DOTs, but don't want to have to spend more money for tires. Yeah. So if he came on a little bit earlier, Ray, you would have seen that we discussed that already.
Yeah. I really hate it because, ultimately I want to include everybody, but there's only a certain amount of compromise you can do. And it's outside of those handful of tracks. Everybody else in the state's running a 235 limit. Yeah. So it's, and if, I want to support when I'm at those tracks, I definitely don't want to alienate people, but at the same time, if somebody, if one of you guys came and dominated at another race with those tires on, then it would be, everybody else would feel like they were cheated.
Listen, I still feel that we made the wrong choice. We went with the G60, and I think that I should have went with that DOT tire. I really do.
But and this year I've kind of gone with that, and like I explained, it's I didn't get a kickback from Hoosier, and unfortunately that's how this business works, and I'm trying to do it a different way, and I don't know how it's going to work. But.
So Ray, I believe your question is, do you have to buy different tires? I believe Ray runs the 255 60s. Yeah. So with a full containment seat, fire suppression system, all that, you should be fine with what you're weighing right now. But if you want more in-depth detail, just hit me up or just ask right here, and then I can get that to you. But so
unfortunately right now the 255 is only going to be allowed at Bethel.
Okay. All right.
If we go to another track that runs 255, which as far as I know, there isn't going to be.
So he should be all right with if he's got them for Bethel.
Yeah, he'll be fine for Bethel.
He's ran I mean, yeah.
But I think Ray is, and Ray and I have talked a little bit about this, and I really think that he may be one of your guys because it's not an every weekend thing. He may be one of your guys that is looking to follow the series because Ray's at the point in his career, kind of like the rest of us. We've been doing this for a really long time, and the division that we're in, you know what I mean? We don't do it to make money, but we're just looking for something. Listen, we want to go race every once in a while, and then we want to take some weeks off.
Well, and maybe what it comes down to is as much as I say, it's funny because they said when I had a perfect idea to start with and just everything's thinking, if this 200-pound, I'll bring it up. I've got that Facebook group that I've got just for the drivers because, I got people giving me feedback that might show up for one race. And while I love to hear feedback from one race, I don't want to change my rules for one guy, but in this situation, since there are a lot of people that are interested from the Accord, Orange County, Bethel area, if you guys want to run the series, but you've only got the 255s, I'll get with my other drivers and find out if that 200-pound weight penalty works for the other tracks. I'm willing to listen. I'm willing to adjust. They said, I just don't want to, it's always, you don't want to throw the baby out for the bathwater.
Yep.
And so it's the same thing.
So here's my thing, and I don't think anybody would have an issue with it. So you need to take a big look, and just my suggestion, take a big look at the amount of tracks that you're running at, where you're running, and find out what the consensus is as far as what is the tire size that a majority. So if you're running PenCam, 5 Mile Point, Thunder Mountain, Woodhall, Skyline, they're all on 235s. And then you come to Bethel once. Bethel's the only track that's running a 255. So then it's 235. And I don't think any of us would have an issue with that. Listen, majority of the places we're going, we need to have a 235. It's, you know what I mean? So let's do that. And the DOTs, and which is awesome. And I believe we're having somebody on next week to discuss this again. But it's the way to go. It really is. They're the same price as a race tire, but damn it, they last forever, unless you're cutting. I bought a brand new set, ran the 100 lapper at Bethel on them. When I took them off, they still had the tits on them like they were brand spanking new. It's just the way to go. And they're tough. They're a tough tire.
And the biggest issue, it seems, is if you follow the guys can't get them to hook up. Yeah, they take a little bit more to hook up. I mean, we know, you go from racing tires to DOT tires, like, holy shit. It's a difference, and some guys just can't get it to hook up, and they don't like it. So the whole idea.
So then you do this. Well, if you can't get that to hook up, then what you got under the hood?
On the hood, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And ultimately, it doesn't. Well, and that's one thing. I got talking to a lot of the 4-cylinder guys this year that run the SCDRA series, and these guys, they've got interesting rules. Basically, their engine rule is it has to be stock appearing. But they're on a 225. They're on a
appearing.
Yep.
That's awesome.
And they're on a 225 tire. And apparently a lot of these modern 4-cylinders, you can get 350 horsepower out of them with a tune. And so that's what they're running. They're running, I talked to one guy and he's I run easy 350. And he's not dominating. Let's put it this way. And he says, because I can watch him. He's spinning all the way around the track, and so that's that's kind of the thing. At the same time, Deinhardt was running Mastercrafts at the Unruly race, and he turned faster laps than he does on the, I'm not sure the exact tire they run, the Hoosier. It's I think it's a D60. I'm not positive.
The thing was just eating. That car was just eating. So Rick Ryder just asked, what would it cost for a set of tires to start off the series? Just for a set, Rick, ballpark. Worst case, you're looking at about $600 for a set of tires.
That's
I'm thinking $150. Yeah,
but I guarantee those tires will last you the whole series.
Yeah. I just saw Summit has an ad going up with Mastercrafts. I'm not sure what size they were, but they were 115 for dependent. It all depends on where you are. If you can get a deal from a dealer. I've been still trying to work out a deal with one of the local vendors that I thought is perfect. Cause I'm same thing as everything else. I'm going to sell tires for you, but he's one of those guys that doesn't answer his phone. So we're still working on that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's amazing how many people are like that.
So you go out, you buy. Me personally, I'm going to go out and I'm going to buy 8 tires. Okay, because I want 2 spares.
Yeah.
So you're looking at, was it $800?
Yeah.
Probably $900 for 8 tires, but I'm going to run those the entire year, if not the following year. And the only way I'm going to go and buy a new one is if I cut one, because you're not going to wear them out.
Yep.
I ran the same set of tires at Orange County probably for 6 years.
They actually might get better.
Yeah.
It's you grind them off a little bit and stuff. And
so the first couple of laps at Bethel, it's to me, it's fun. It's a ton of fun. The car's all over the place because it's so greasy. But once you got heat in them things in the DOTs, man, that thing sticks. It's not bad.
Nothing fun about Bethel.
But
that's why you're bald. That's why you never grow hair. You pull it out.
Dude, listen, it was the greatest feeling in the world. It took me over 25 years to finally win a goddamn race there, and when I did, I swear to God, I was I'd never have to do this again, ever. And I've won 3 more since then. But it's that place will humble you. And I think somebody like Deinhardt, I'd love to see what he does up there. I would love to see that because you get somebody, here's a good example, Bob Slate, right? Bob is amazing at Accord and he's amazing in Middletown. He came up to Bethel and that 100 lapper, there was a point where I was pushing him out of the way. Bob, you need to move. He was a lap car. That place will humble you. And I'm excited for these 2 races there.
I really want to see how Skip is modified, how that's going to work on DOT.
But I think you're going to find Skip to be really well. He's going to do well also. He's got a crate motor. I think this series, I don't think you're going to need the big smoke that everybody thinks you're going to need because you got to get the power to the track. You really do.
One thing that I don't know if anybody's going to do this, but if anybody doesn't have a car or wants to do a special thing with the car, I started looking through just on a whim. I went through Craigslist this week and I looked up cars, just street cars that cost between $500 and $2,000 and looking for rear wheel drive because I think rear wheel drive is going to be better on most of the tracks. And I found dozens of cars on there that are, have probably enough horsepower, and you can build them up, but I think, first of all, I think that's something that we kind of got to look at for our stock classes anyways, is starting to adapt these modern, unibody cars, fuel injected cars and stuff. And this is the perfect opportunity for somebody to test that. Let's go get, whether it's a Crown Vic or for some reason there's 5 million BMWs out there, which seems strange to me. Go get a BMW and throw a roll cage.
Because they're shit. Nobody listen. They run great till they break, and then nobody can afford to fix the damn things.
It's the same thing. There's 5 million Subarus, and I know that's why that is. They all need a head gasket. But same thing. If you want to do something completely different, go buy a Subaru. See what it does.
The guy in the 4-cylinder. Where did he wind up finishing? He was top 10, right?
I think he finished. I want to say 12th.
Okay.
I don't have the results right in front of me, but yeah, he was.
But that's just it. You know what I mean? 50 laps is a long time, and I thought for sure Walt was going to be a lot better than what he was, and he was having a hard time, dude. He had big smoke with a 4-barrel carbon. He couldn't keep it on the track. And I didn't pass a car and wound up 7th. You know what I mean? But I think it was more of a poor tire choice. But I think that if we were on the same tire, we would have been a little bit better than. You know what I mean? I don't think you're going to need $1 million car to do well in this series. I really don't.
I think
don't upstate, Nate. You're from up there. Isn't some of them tracks run like some radical 4-cylinders? Like I know I saw like a Deo race or 2 that they've had 4-cylinders, but like these things weren't your average 4-cylinders. Right? Am I right or wrong on that?
I mean, they used to. I don't know how many of them are still around. I used to run. Well, my car, a lot of people thought it was more radical than it was. I ran in the class like that. I ran all over the East Coast, but I ran a Mustang that was largely stock chassis, but my car weighed 2,000 pounds. And I had, because we had our weight rule was based on the size of the engine. And I ran an old Pinot 2000 engine, which is actually a better engine if you know what you're doing. And so I had a car that weighed 500 pounds less than everybody else. And and I could do pretty good. But around the time I was running that, again, they just started letting the rules, like, people didn't really pay attention to them. People started building. There were there was 4-cylinder late models.
I
saw a couple races last year.
There was a guy.
These things are on headers and everything. Yeah, man.
There was a guy who came to Accord years ago for a 4-cylinder race. It was an open comp race, and it looked like a miniature late model, but it was a Prelude. It was a Honda Prelude, and this thing was amazing. And I asked him, I said, "Dude, how much money you got invested in this?" And he said, "About $3,000." Yeah. He said, "That's it." He goes, "It's just the body." He goes, "What you're seeing is just the body." Yeah. He goes, "But he's cut. He cut everything out of it that he could possibly cut out of it. The car had a complete roll cage all the way through it, and it literally he had it set up, and it was struts, and it was set up like a late model, and this thing was amazing. So hot laps ran like shit. The heat race, he ran like shit. He went out in the feature and just dusted everybody."
It's I can't say mine. I had a little bit more involved in that, but I built it to run in the Carolinas where they have, $10,000 to win races. And I was running against NASCAR teams, like legitimately like Jeremy Clements, who runs in the Xfinity series. Top competitor, and ran against Dennis Rambo Franklin that runs super late models and stuff. You want to see some nice 4-cylinders, those cars back then. These guys, well, I mean, legit, like Clements family is Clements Racing Engines. They build, they developed the Dodges for NASCAR. They, Billy Moyer's dirt late model engines. Like they had, he ran a show and header, but it wasn't like nobody could buy that header because, they ran, they had so much dyno time on things. They tested things like, I can't remember if it was Brandon or Kyle Davis. It's one of Cotton Owens' grandsons runs the wind tunnel in Georgia. They would bring these cars to the wind tunnels and test them and stuff. And so we took this class pretty seriously. My engine builder was a former Winston Cup champion back when I ran that. So it's we took it pretty seriously. I ran a head that was imported from Europe. Like it was a messy, interesting class.
Yeah. Listen, how fast you want to go, man?
It's I didn't spend as much, and I didn't spend as much as some of these guys, but mostly just because I'm not as rich as some of these guys. But but the one cool thing I see about the newer stuff, and this is true with the rear wheel drive stuff, is that it doesn't cost that much. You could plug in a computer, go buy a chip. Like one of these street cars are designed. The way you drive them down the street, they might only make 250, 300 horsepower, but that's not the limits of the engine. That's how they're programmed by a computer. So you change a few chips, and you can be making 400 or 500 horsepower just by doing that. You can't. And look at an old 350. Like what do you got to do? How much money do you got to spend to make 500 horsepower on? So
years ago, see Jeff DeGroat, right? Yeah. Jeff DeGroat, he'll get you going.
I mean, years ago, Bobby Shade. You remember Bobby Shade there, Gary?
Yep.
He ran a hell of a 305. I mean, that thing 305. That thing was just stupid fast. So, Nate, let's talk about your schedule. I know we got the first one coming up April 22nd, Penn Can Speedway, and then where do you head after that?
Yeah, Penn Can. That's going to be one of our little bonus paying. Said most of them are going to be. It looks like they're all going to be 150 to start. That one's 2,000 to win. We want to start, kind of on top there. I really got to press that race. If you were thinking about this at all, be there do whatever you can to be there for that race, because that's going to set the tone for the rest of the season. But right now, the next race after that is Bethel for I don't have the names of my races, my cute names. I don't have them in front of me. Penn Can's going to be Orcs Awakening because that's, our first race. We're waking up for the season. Bethel is the freak show, I believe. Let me pop up my races here.
I should know this too.
Yeah.
But I didn't. Gary's looking at both of us like, you guys didn't do any homework, or
I have no idea who I am. Not prepared. I got the races written down, but I don't have the names, which is like my favorite part. Okay, the Far Out race. There we go.
Yeah,
Doing the whole hippie thing there.
Yeah, so we're doing bong hits every 5 laps.
Yeah. Well, I'm working on a sponsor, so that might not be too far off. Let's just put it that way. But that's that's on May 21st. I'm feeling really good for a race in June, but that's one I can't announce yet. But there's going to be one in the middle of June, I think. Then we go back to Bethel for July 16th, and I guess we just decided that's going to be a Ron Hills Memorial Race. Then July 30th is Skyline for the Not Fair race, which if you're local, that makes sense. That's the day of the one of the county fairs that other racetracks shut down for that day. So, and it fits. So it's the Not Fair race at Skyline on July 30th. And it's the first time announcing this because we just finalized the date. The Unruly race is going to be September 4th, which is a Sunday at Thunder Mountain. Still working out the details for everything there. It should be a real good date for everything. There's one trick there, which hopefully might attract some people, is the next day is a really big street stock race for here. So the local crazy street stocks that you guys talk about, a lot of them might not be there. So it might be one of you guys that has, more of more of a restricted car. It's actually a race that it's the Wade Decker Memorial Race, which they pay a comparable purse for that class. So we had to compromise. That wasn't the ideal date, but I think it could work out because it could be, a surprise winner that shows up for that. It might be Stevens actually partially the promoter for the Wade Decker race. So if he doesn't have 2 cars, there might be a new winner this year, because I don't think he's going to want to take the chance, but we'll find out. He might have 2 cars. Yeah. So no promises.
So but that's a really good question. Our super fan there, Bud DeGennaro. Is there a way that any of these races will be streamed live where somebody can watch them, like on Flow or something like that?
That was a big goal of mine until I started talking to Dirt Track Digest, and the big problem, and I didn't really pursue it, is because all the tracks that stream have contracts with their tracks. And so if I would have had, if I would have worked with Dirt Track Digest or something, and we would have went to Accord where they have the cushion, it would have been a major conflict and literally gets into legal issues. So I just decided that it wasn't a battle I wanted to fight this year. Hopefully most of the tracks have some sort of streaming. But I just didn't want to add that extra layer of headache to it this year. And
do you think that might be something in the future that you might be able to do? Because it almost seems like it's the wave of the future anymore. Nobody's really leaving their couch to go to a racetrack anymore. Everything seems to be streamed.
But they won't broadcast that. Like if you're at Thunder Mountain, Thunder Mountain's Dirt Track Digest anyway. They're not going to broadcast it.
No, they will. It's just a problem if I had. So let's say if I had a contract with Dirt Track Digest, and that Dirt Track Digest was going to stream all of the Orcs races, and I went to a track that had a contract with somebody else.
Gotcha. Okay.
It would have been a fight. So instead of trying to get into a deal like that and creating a headache for everybody, so when we race,
when you're at a racetrack that's doing it, you will be streamed.
100%.
Okay. I got you.
Yeah, so and I think a lot of them are going to do something like that this year. Well, I don't know. If I knew now what I knew then, I probably would have pursued it a little bit more, and maybe I will look into it, because I've purposely aimed this at being at some of the more, let's say, rustic racetracks. Yeah. And some of those don't have a streaming contract, so I probably would have been okay. But I didn't know that then, and it may be too late, but it's, but, and there's all sorts of complicated things that get involved in it, because some of the streaming services won't show your sponsors. They only show their sponsors. And that was one of my big selling points, to sponsors. And so we'll work on it, but a lot of it's just getting people to know the name of this, and a lot of getting to know what it actually is. I think the name's getting out there, but people still don't know if it's going to be, if it's going to be 5 cars out there, if it's going to be, I had a couple different tracks that are just so it's going to be a street stock race. And I'm like, no, like it's
hope not.
Yeah, but at the same time, I can't promise. I don't know what's going to show up. I'm starting to talk to more drivers and finding out. And even if it is a street stock race, like I really want to encourage you guys to come out, even if you do something silly to your car, even if it's not a competitive thing, just do something so it adds character. Because that's as much. Again, one of my big goals.
Trash can. I'll put a trash can on the roof of my.
There you go.
I'm going to be Trash Man from the movie The Stand.
There you go.
Listen, don't hit it. This shit will blow up.
And I think that's going to be a thing. Like, I'm really encouraging guys. Like, one of my favorite things, if you can't do something, like if you're not going to go out and get the modern car and do something, piece together whatever parts you got laying around. Like it's that's one of the cool things, as one of the things I've always had an issue with, which is one of the reasons I'm creating this, is as tracks do change rules, they keep on outlawing things, and people got cars that aren't competitive anymore. Mm-hmm. You got an old pro stock, you got the street stocks around here. That's one of the problems. It's one of the reasons it makes them cool, but it's also one of the problems. Every year they start allowing more and more stuff. So if you got a car that's 5-10 years old that you haven't updated, but at the same time, if something breaks on that car, well, screw it. Just my spring mount broke, go get coilovers, whatever. It's easier, it's
So I actually have a chassis in mind for this entire series. And the light bulb again just clicked. Yeah. Who gives a shit what you got? Just put it in. Let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just keep on building. It's I keep saying, it's evolution. So figure out what works and build on it. It's and you might be really surprised at what works. It's I got a feeling one of the things I think in 3 years this will be mature enough where people kind of know what they're going to get. Mm-hmm. In 10 years, I think this is going to be the premier class. I'm promoting it now as a support class, but I have some ideas of what this could become, and I think this might be cooler cars than cooler and possibly even faster cars than what the modifieds are. Yeah. It's as people figure out different technology and what they can do, and things that the rest of the sport's been holding back because they're scared or because people are making money off of using old stuff,
If I tell you, even the Lone Star 600, I refer to that a lot, man, because that's a bucket list race for me. And if you go and you watch Hot Carl's when he walks through the pits, some of the shit that these guys have and some of the stuff that these guys have brought is just amazing. The one guy is using he's got shocks on his wing so that when he's going down the straightaway, it pushes it down on its own. And some of this, and he's paying the top 25, I think it's 300, but it's just, that's the ingenuity. And that's what I love about it. And that's why I've stayed in the street stocks for as long as I have, to try and make something that it's not supposed to do, to make it do that. It's just, I don't know. I love everything about it, but it's that initial, getting away from that weekly racing thing and just biting the bullet and just doing it,
And it's unfortunately it's an issue for everybody. It's the issue for the tracks. It's the issue for the drivers. Yeah. It's even an issue for the fans. Like if you don't know what something is, jumping into the unknown is an interesting and difficult thing to do. And, and I'm really hoping, I believe in this, hopefully I don't have to, well, I mean, if I have to sell a testicle, that's why I got 2 of them. But I'm going to do everything I possibly can to make this happen, because I believe that this is going to be, I think this is going to be the coolest shit in racing.
I really do, because what do you have to complain about? And I said the same thing with the rules at 5 Mile Point, even for their factory stock class. They don't really have any. And when I went up there, I was like, hey, listen, this is what I have. And they're like, yeah, okay. You know what I mean? Nobody gives a shit. And that's what I like about it. Let's go out. Let's build whatever the hell we got, like the old moonshiners used to do. And this is where it all started. You know what I mean? You're going right back to your roots. I don't care what you have, but I'm going to figure out how to beat you. You know what I mean? And that's what I love about it. It's just, I think, and I said it 2 years ago. I'm saying it again now, man. You got something here, and you just need one person to give it a shot. Yeah. And I think that's happening. I really do.
I think it's catching on. It's I said I think this is just going to be awesome, and who knows. And just another idea that I want to throw out there is that even if you don't have the best idea in the world, this is about go back to the character stuff, but just have fun. If it used to be back in the day, like back in the 50s and 60s and stuff, when you wanted to go racing, you just you went out in your yard and found what you had and put a roll cage in it. And while that doesn't sound like the ideal thing for something that's, run any engine, oh my God, I can go, I can spend $100,000 on my car. But I think that might be the key to this, just go, if you got a pickup truck outside, put a roll cage in a pickup truck, and see what it does. It's whatever you got, and or take the engine out of that and throw it in your
I mean, I know somebody personally who went out and bought a car specifically for this, and that's and he's about ready to go, and he thinks it's great. He's Dick Shattuck. Dick Shattuck went and bought just one specific car just for this series, and he's into it. So my other question too is last year, we ran 50 laps. Is that going to be the main distance for every track, or is it going to vary where you go, or what's your thoughts on that?
I'm aiming more towards 30 for most of the races,
Okay.
Again, so we're not intrusive on the track's normal program.
Okay.
If we're running on a normal night, the biggest, my biggest goal is we need to add to the program, and I don't want to put much risk in taking away. That's the worst thing is I want the promoters to do okay. And same thing. That's one thing I do have to say, because that's one of the biggest feedbacks I got, and you kind of mentioned it. Is I'm not sure if I'm going to be the race director. I got a guy that might be the race director, but we're going to be the same policy. Like, you drive like an animal out there, and A, you're not going to get paid. B, you're not going to be welcome back. It's simple as that. It's I'll blackball you. If you disrespect me or the drivers in any way, including out on that racetrack, you're just not going to be welcome.
Yeah. And you said that right at the drivers meeting too. And everybody, like I said, man, the guys that were there were just absolutely awesome. You know what I mean? And thank you, Buck Mills. I mean, he led us right in the right direction as far as setup goes, and it's just, again, it's just more people that you meet in racing and stuff. And like I said, even Deinhardt, I mean, he offered us his garage. He said, listen, man, come run Thunder Mountain every week, man. You guys can come stay in my yard. You know what I mean? And dude, that's awesome. That's awesome. Because he knows it's a ride for us, and it just, yeah.
And I mean, and that's the other thing, especially once we get, I got no idea who's following this series other than a handful of people. But one of my big goals is, once I know that is, you're going to be my family. It's all the way around, whether, you're coming to eat dinner at my house, you're, whatever, we hang out after the races, before the races. This is going to be, I'm as much about the track and the things, but I want everybody to have fun. That's and at least for now, like that's.
Listen, man, and I really truly hope that you felt that way after Thunder Mountain. Dude, we were all taking pictures. I had a buddy of mine I was in the Army with, and he came 2 hours from Pennsylvania and came in. And Gary and his brother were up there, and dude, we had a ton. We had Walt Henry, and we wanted you to be a part of that picture. You know what I mean? And that memory. Just because, dude, I'm telling you, man, I think what you got here is awesome. I really do. And by the sounds of the it sounds like we might just miss maybe just one race this year. Due to different conflict of where we're racing and all that other stuff.
Right now, on top of the schedule I announced, there's 3 more races that I feel there's a good chance might be there. There's one, I kind of want the Unruly race to be the last race of the year, but there's one that I think might be after that. Won't be the big, the Unruly race will still be the biggest race. It just might not be the last race. And then there's, like I said, there's one in June, and there's probably going to be a Sunday race. I'm not sure exactly when. That one might be really cool because there might be some other big touring race with that one. So
nice.
So and that one's going to be another asphalt track too. So that might be add another little mix to it. So
good stuff.
So
have you considered? Somebody asked the question. I was thinking the same thing. Have you tried to get Orange County Fair Speedway? Because they're really big on stuff like this, like their off stuff. like if you can catch them not on a Saturday night and they do it, maybe a Sunday or during the week, like they have
during the fair.
Right, during the fair, when enduros, I mean, it brings in a ton of people. People love that shit. Have you ever considered contacting them to get it on an off night? You know what I mean?
And here's one of my biggest limitations, and I've kind of said this over and over again, is when I started this, I had like a blinders plan of exactly. And one of my big thing is I didn't want to race on big tracks. And for various reasons, because I think that's one of the big, it's not a rule, but that's one of the big limitations. That's the bottleneck there. What I've thought about, and I need to reach out to him. And I know, Joel, you've got ties there and stuff. What I thought about doing is a show up points race where it's, the points might be pretty important this year. I posted the points in there. They're not exactly what I like, but we are looking at like a 2,000 to win point. I don't have it right off the top of my head, but hopefully paying a top 10. There will probably be limitations so that, if you only race a couple races, you're going to have to race a certain number of races to qualify for the points. It'll probably you'll probably be allowed to miss one, maybe two, just depending on what we're looking at. Yeah. But yeah, I didn't want to, because it's such a different character. I didn't want to run on the big track where it's like, somebody comes out with 1,000 horsepower and like, it's just kind of defeats that, but it's definitely worth something to try. And I just don't want it to be a make or break race for people. It's that's,
well, I don't think you would really get, maybe some pro stocks might come down, but I don't think that you would really get like, somebody, because you're right, it's a big track, but I think it would be a big draw personally.
Yeah. I think the locations really would be. I think the locations that you have now are perfect. I mean, because it's all racing country. Unfortunately, I think that the racing around here is just it's not what it used to be, and it's getting worse. And
be a perfect track.
Yeah, absolutely. Accor would be awesome.
I've pursued that one, and they don't really seem interested. I'm still working. They haven't said no yet. So if you're talking to Gary or whoever there, keep pushing them. But he kind of didn't seem interested. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's the one thing that does interest me about Orange County is just the name. It's kind of like 5 Mile Point here. People talked about it for a million years. It's one of those kind of like, I got to race there at least once.
Yeah.
And it might be an opportunity for these guys, the Central New York street stock guys that would never have an opportunity to race there. It's and so, that's definitely something I need to look at, but I just want to be careful with that, maybe it'd be okay to have one race, because that's part of it, where different cars, the guy that's spinning his tires at every other track, that might be, that might be the place where you can get it down. Well, I mean, the track's still hard, but you can do it in the straightaways.
But all right, man. So listen, it's about that time. I'm getting the glare over here. So
I'm just glad your internet held up.
Yeah, dude, this is awesome. Well, it's because it's Nate. My internet was like, "Oh, Nate's coming on. We're gonna fucking work tonight."
I've got my own Wi-Fi signal here. I just radiate it.
Yeah. So, all right, brother, man. Listen, man. We, as always, man, we appreciate you being on here. We appreciate what you do. I look forward to, like I said, hopefully the 22nd. Hopefully we're ready with something. I know Tony's not going to want to bring the Bethel car there, but I don't know. We might have to.
Quarter panels are optional. You don't need to run a quarter panel. So, so if you don't have it on there,
I'm just saying. All right, man. So listen, keep us updated. Keep posting on our page, and then, like I said, we're just every time you post something, man, I share the hell out of it, and I look forward to seeing you soon.
Yeah, I appreciate everything you guys do for me. It's we're talking about family. You guys are family.
Awesome.
So
man.
I appreciate everything. So thank you so much.
Yeah, no worries. Man. So,
all right, take care.
Have a good night.
All right. So,
shit.
It's been a while, man. Dude, I love talking to Nate. I really do, man. He's so enthusiastic, dude. He's just, dude, he's awesome. It's just, I'm so into this series, but it's just, you know what I mean? Just to stop that weekly racing and just go do that. You know what I mean? I think it'd be cool.
No, it will. Yeah, that's the thing, man. You know, someone like you that just gets fed up with a place and that says hell with it. You know, then it's perfect.
I don't think it's just. I think the weekly grind. You know, this is my 20. Right, this will be my 22nd year of racing, and I think it's just a weekly.
But you get
grind.
tired of it.
Yeah,
then you're like, I can do this. You know, 5, 6, 7 times over. Months. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Then if you want to hit, it's a good thing.
Man. So
definitely is.
So where are we at with our we got a guest here next week?
Maybe we'll post up there. I want to try that, but
yeah. So listen, I would definitely keep an eye on our site. So if it's who I think it is, it ought to be a really good show. So it's a topic that's been a little heated lately on social media, and of course, you know.
We'll try to finalize it to see this week.
So,
if not,
that'd be cool.
Maybe next week. So
but all right, folks. Again, apologize about last week. What are you gonna do, man? I live in Sullivan County.
Yeah, that's all right.
But
everybody understands.
Yeah, just hit the page, like it, follow us, YouTube. And then we'll talk to you guys soon. So thanks for watching. Everybody have a good night, man.
Good night.